Good morning everyone. Happy Sabbath. So we're going to read the next chapter in our book, Singers on the Sand. So this is going to be chapter 5, Learning About God. If you haven't listened to chapter 4, I uploaded it onto our YouTube post last weekend. So if you haven't listened to chapter 4, stop this one now and go listen to chapter 4 before you start chapter 5. And I also have a little friend here who's going to help me read it, little Pinky. She wanted to be in on the action as well. So, chapter 5 is called Learning About God. From the day the boy Hans came to the great Sangha with his father, the big teacher, Satu had been his friend. He had gone with him into the jungle to find rattan. Rattan is a type of vine that they used for binding the timbers of the building. He had helped carry rocks from the flower garden around the teacher's house, but it was not until the house and the fence and everything about the teacher's home and garden were finished that Hans already knew many of the words of the island language that Satu led him one afternoon to his secret perch among the rocks, where he loved to sit and watch the fire mountain. The volcano looked closer from here, as the two boys climbed up among the rocks. Satu watched Hans' face and saw his big blue eyes widen with surprise as he saw the huge form of the volcano so close. Smoke billowed from the cone-shaped top, and spurts of fire shot into the sky. Here it was quiet, and so quiet that only the sound was the lap of waves on the shore below, and the low rumbling of thunder that came from the deep under the sea floor. Hans pointed down. "Why? It is the fire spirits under the ground," Satu explained. "They are angry, and when they are uncomfortable or displeased, they always growl and thunder." Hans shook his head. Satu could see that he did not understand. He pointed to the volcano. "How far away do you think it is?" Now Satu understood the question his friend had asked, but he didn't know how to explain that the island people measured all distances by the time it took them to travel to the place. He knew the men could row out to the volcano and back in the space of time between breakfast and the middle of the day, and the sun stands at mid-heaven. Satu knew that sometimes the island men went out to get the big birds' eggs from the small sandy beach on the south side of the fire mountain. It was a brave thing to do, because everyone feared the fire spirits that lived there. But, of course, the eggs were delicious and well worth risking something for. "It is not far," Satu said at last. Can't you smell the smoke?" Then Satu explained how the island people in ancient times had offered human sacrifices to the mountain to quiet the fire spirits when they became unusually fierce and angry. Satu could not remember, and his father could not remember, of the mountain smoking quite as much as now. As the boys stood looking at the south side of the volcano, Satu saw something on the narrow beach of the white sand that lay in the curve of the fire mountain's base. "Look," he grabbed Hans' arm. "It is a big bird, a seabird. That's the kind of bird that laid the eggs our men used to go after." Hans shaded his eyes with his hands and looked. "It's so small, like an ant. I can hardly see it." "Yes, I guess there is something there. It moves." The boys watched the bird until it flew off toward the jungle north of them. Then they settled down in the perch among the rocks. "Our witch doctor has come back," Satu told Hans. "You know, the one whose hut where you lived at first. He came back last night. He says the fire spirits are angry because you came, but I think they are angry because my father wouldn't give the teacher a place to build his house." This speech was too long for Hans to follow. Satu laughed at him and said the words over and over, until at last he saw that Hans did understand most of what he had said. "Is the witch doctor there in the house where we lived?" Hans asked. "Is he there right now?" "Yes, of course." Satu laughed again. "Of course he is there. Where else would he be? It's his hut." "My sister, little Marta, goes there every day to play house," Hans said. "I must go home and tell her not to go there any more. She might bother him. He will not like to have her come." "Oh, he won't hurt Marta. He is really a kind person. He is good to sick people and even takes care of sick animals. He wouldn't hurt a little child." "Of course no one would want to hurt Marta. I wasn't thinking of that," Hans said. "I just thought it might worry him." The boys still gazed out over the calm sea and the smoking mountain when the sounds of the oars disturbed them. They looked down at the little wharf and saw the village's first fishing boat pulling away with several island men on the paddles. Satu looked up and strained his eyes to see better. Yes, it was his father's boat. Now, why hadn't they told him they were going fishing tonight? Why hadn't they taken him along? "I don't like that," he said to Hans. "When my father's big boat goes out to catch fish, I always go." Satu saw the men put up the sail and tack toward the south. He could see them better now. "You know, Hans," he said, "those men are all dressed in their feast clothes. They can't be going out to fish with all their ornaments on and fixed up like that. They must be going to a feast somewhere on one of the southern islands." Hans watched the boat. "Is that your father there in the front of the boat? You mean the one with his head turned away? No, I'm sure it isn't. He wouldn't go without me." The two boys walked back to the house on the sand. "Come on in the house and let us learn our verse for today," Hans said as they came to the low wall. Inside, the teacher took down one of the magic boxes and opened it. Then he taught the boys their memory verse. "The Father himself loveth you." Over and over the boy said the words, "The Father himself loveth you," until the teacher said that they might go to the jungle to get some thin pieces of rattan, because he needed to tie up the flower plants that were growing so big and bushy that some of them sagged and bent. "What does the verse mean?" Satu asked Hans as they walked across the salt grass toward the trees. "The Father who loves us is God up in heaven." Hans pointed at the bright sun and the sky. "He lives up there among the stars and all bright shiny things, but he sees us all the time. He hears what we say. He is the one who loves us." "Is it to this one your father sings in the mornings and evenings?" "Yes, my father sings because God makes his heart glad, and I guess God likes to hear singing. All people who worship God sing." "I have seen your father, the big teacher, talk to the magic box. I have heard him talk to the sky in the top of your house. Why does he do that?" Hans smiled. "At worship time, my father reads from the holy book. Then we all kneel down and we lift up our eyes and pray to God. That means we talk to him." "You mean that he can talk to the God of heaven and he hears what you say?" "Yes, of course. He talks to us in the verse like we learned today and in songs. We talk to him when we pray." But this time the boys had entered the jungle, and they slashed their way among the thick brush under the huge old trees looking for the strands of rattan vine. Most of what they found were too big and fat to use. After long searching, they discovered a few small thin strands of young growth. This they wound up on their hands, being careful of the stickers, I guess they're thorns. The vines were so many feet in length and had already climbed up to the top of the tall trees. The boys pulled and twisted to bring them down. "If your father splits this, it should be just right for tying up the flowers," Satu said as they started back. Satu walked first down the narrow trail they had cut. Hans was bigger than Satu. He seemed to grow faster, and he was stronger. But Satu was quicker and he knew the jungle. Today, Satu was eager to get home. He couldn't get the boat out of his thoughts. Where was the fishing boat going? And why were there so many village men in it? And where were they all dressed up in their ornaments? The boys heard a sound of a low cry. It could be a baby sobbing. They stopped on the trail and listened. "It's a monkey," Satu said. "It cries as though it might be hurt." After a short search, they found the tiny creature. He sat on the limb of a tree all alone. With every breath he cried and twisted, and when Satu climbed up to get him, he did not move. He wound his little arms around Satu's wrist as the boy slid down through the tangle of vines and branches. The boys turned him over and looked through his black fur. But there were no marks on him or any kind that they could find. He looked fat and healthy, but he cried until Satu tied him in on one corner of his loincloth. "I will take him to Tamar," the boy said. "He will know what ails him." The two friends parted at the edge of the jungle. Hans took all the rattan, swinging the coils over his shoulder. Satu took the tiny monkey and went toward Tamar's house. "I will see you when we sing in the evening," he called back as he ran up the path. Tamar's door was open, and Satu called in front of it the customary words of greeting. Tamar came to the door and looked down at him. "Ah, I see you have brought me a sick monkey. How do you know he's sick?" Satu asked, as he ran up the ladder into the room. "He must be sick, or you could have never caught him. He would have followed his family into the treetops. You will make him better, won't you?" Satu pulled the frightened little creature in Tamar's hands. "I will try," he said. Tamar brought out the little packet of herbs, all dried and pounded fine. He mixed some of the green powder with water in a coconut shell bowl. He held it under the monkey's nose. The little creature began to eat the mixture with greedy haste. "You see," Tamar said, "he knows what medicine is good for him. He must have eaten something that was bad for him." Tamar looked sharply at Satu. "Boys do the same thing sometimes." Satu wondered whether the witch man thought that he had eaten something bad. He waited for Tamar to say more, but the witchman stroked and patted the monkey. After the tiny animal had snuggled down in Tamar's loincloth and appeared to be asleep, Satu asked, "Where did the fishing boat go a little while ago?" "It went to the southern islands," Tamar said. "Your father, the chief, ordered it." "But why? What is the reason? Our boats do not go on such long journeys for nothing. Where does my father want them to bring from the southern island?" Tamar's voice grew stern. "Your father, the chief, intends to invite teachers of Islam to come there and lead our people in the good way." Satu felt his heart sink away towards the bottomless place. "Why does he do that? Already a teacher has come to our village, and my father will not give him even enough ground to build a house. Why does he want more teachers?" "The teachers of Islam are different," Tamar explained. "They will not spoil our customs. They will not forbid our feasts and our dancing and our spirit worship. Of course we will have to get rid of our pigs. They do not like pigs, but we don't have many. We can make a big feast and eat them all up at once. They will expect us to do as we please. Don't you see? They will not change our ways as the big teacher is doing. If the Islam teachers will not change anything, then what is the use of having them?" Tamar's face softened a little and his voice was kind. "Now, Satu, what is it that you like so much about the big teacher's magic?" "I like it that the God of heaven knows me and I can talk to him and he will talk with me. I like to feel the gladness running through me like a river when I hear the singing." Then Tamar laughed. "Foolish boy! Not even the small spirits of the jungle will speak to a young boy like you. How then will a great spirit such as this God you talk about, what attention would he pay you?" Satu did not answer this question. He stood close to Tamar and stroked the soft fur of the monkey that lay curled in the witchman's cloth. "What will the teacher do when the Islam teachers come?" the boy asked. "He will go away, of course, when he sees that the people would rather follow Islam." Satu looked straight into Tamar's eyes. "He will not go away. You wait and see. And not all the people will choose Islam." Tamar smiled again, and Satu choked down a cry of rage and ran from the room. He burst into his own door and calling for his teacher in a loud voice. But Chief Meriden was not home. "Where is my father?" he asked his mother, who tended the baby on her back and cooked at the same time. "He is gone on a long journey, my son. He will not return for many days." Then Satu knew that the man he had seen in the front of the fishing boat was his father, Chief Meriden. He had gone himself to call the teachers of Islam to the Great Sangha. Wow, that was a pretty interesting chapter, wasn't it, guys? I liked what Satu said about how he didn't believe that all the islanders would follow Islam. And I thought it was particularly interesting when he talked about how he liked having a God who would listen to him. It's a bit sad that Tamar thought that this wasn't true, but hopefully Tamar will learn better in future chapters. Hope you guys have a really good Sabbath, and I'll read you your next chapter next week. Stay well.